hi there, Cindy Dole, and this is Hour 2 of Home Wizards, your radio home for all things home, garden, and life improvement. Thanks for sharing your Saturday with me. We have a lot more fun things to talk about that I think are going to really inspire you to make some little changes or maybe some big changes to the spaces you call home. We had so much fun talking about LA Community Gardens just a moment ago. And now we're going to segue into some more really hardcore renovations. I'm sure you probably watched the show This Old House. Who doesn't? And we talk about all kinds of good things with our friends with that program from time to time here. But now we have someone in the studio who has been able to see it from start to finish in his own home. And so we're going to find out what that process has been like. In fact, you probably, if you watch the show, are seeing this family's, this home become transformed from something that needed some help to something that's even more spectacular. So that's something very exciting we're going to talk about very shortly here on the show. That's all about really anything large or small to make those spaces you call home just better. And by the way, as you're listening, and if you hear something you wanted to hear again or see more images and so forth, you can just go to the website. Just go to cindydole.com. We have in the on-air section, all the past shows are there, and today's show should go up by about Monday morning or late Sunday it goes up. And we have the audio segments there. You can share them. They're on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. In fact, when you go to my Facebook page, we have all the pictures in the photo album from last week. We talked with this landscape designer, John Goldstein, who's featured on the this issues of Architectural Digest, because he did Sheryl Crow's yard. And it's kind of, yard is an understatement. It's a palatial, huge, acres and acres of land. But it's so amazing how he put together this pool that sits on top of a 3-car garage. And what they had to do to get all the materials to this Hollywood Hills home. I mean, they could have used mules. They probably really would have loved to have a mule. They had to carry all this stuff in this very narrow, winding road. And then how they put this infinity pool together and use the native California plants. And it's gorgeous. And so when you go to my Facebook page, and you can follow all of our stuff throughout the week, just follow Cindy Dole and you can see it. And I think you're going to love it. So anyway, that's all some of the things that we do on the show. But later on, after we talk with what's going on at this old house, we're also going to find out some great ways to save money. And who doesn't want to do that? The state is about to launch this incredible program that's really going to incentivize you to make some changes to make your place a little more green. And it could mean that you'll get a check for thousands of dollars back. Sounds too good to be true? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to talk with the head of the program from Sacramento. And it's launching this week, and it's going to be going on for several weeks and months to come. So I think you're going to really like that, because who doesn't want to save some money on their home? And then later, if you've been thinking about doing something to your garden and you just don't know how to visualize it, this woman who's very, very enthusiastic about gardening has put together this website that helps you get a sense of how it's going to look and how to kind of shop for plants and put them on a shopping list on this website that's going to customize to your space, to your garden area, and it's going to be very handy. So that's all coming up on the show. 888-KFWB 980 is again the number, so let's get to it, to our very first guest. And of course, we love our friends at This Old House.
This old house wants new children. This old house wants new wife. This old house was home of comfort as we fought the stormy light.
All right, so for several weeks on PBS, you've been seeing it, I know, on This Old House. They have been revealing the renovation, the first ever LA home that they really have done, like from top to bottom. And it's this 1930s, very cool place in Silverlake, a very quiet, very just neat neighborhood. And I think it's a home that anyone would just feel lucky to live in. But there were some things that needed to be changed. And we've been talking with Norm Abram before and Kevin from the show. But what would you think if all of a sudden the guys from This Old House came a knocking? Well, that's what happened to Mary and Kurt Albrecht, and it's gone from a very challenged, well, I guess you'd call it a kitchen. I don't know. It had some problems to a very gorgeous remodel. And just about a week or so ago, I got to go to their wrap party, as they call it. And so the entire This Old House team, Richard Trethaway and Kevin O'Connor and Tom Silva and all the folks who put the show together, they were there celebrating what has come to be at this family's home in Silver Lake. And so I had to invite the couple on the show. And so Kurt Albrecht is here, his wife, the mother of their their new baby and their other child are at home listening, we hope, because, well, they have duties to tend to. But thanks for being here, Kurt. So kind of fun.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Wow. So, I mean, everyone's so green in envy, I know. But tell me, how did this all happen? I mean, here you have this beautiful place in Silverlake. It's an old place. It's a kind of a smallish place.
Yeah, when I bought the house, it was 1998, so it was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and about 1,500 square feet. So I knew at some point we'd probably have to remodel, because Mary and I were together at the time. We weren't married, but we knew we wanted to have kids and get married at some point. And so it's the one toilet. That's hard with a family. So we knew we'd want to expand, and we had had our first daughter, and knew we were going to have a second one, so now's the time to do it. So we started with the design build firm Homefront, and we're working on plans. And then through a friend at work, I heard about this old house coming to L.A., and on a lark, we were like, yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be great if it were us? And we started the application process ourselves, and at the same time, the show contacted Homefront, our design build firm, and was looking actively for projects in the LA area, going directly
Right.
to the builders. And we kind of hooked up at the same time, and it was really quick because it was close to the time they needed to start shooting. So it was, I think July was when we of last year, when we had our first interview, or audition, as
Yeah.
it were, both us in the house. And a producer came out and met with us and looked at the house and really liked what it was and the scope of the remodel we were going to do. And we had a callback,
Funny.
our second audition with more. The director came out, more executives, and same thing. They liked the place, and it's really about the house. This old house. It's not, we're secondary to the show, but they really liked it, and we won the lottery, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was great.
Completely. A lot of people, tried out or auditioned or, submitted their little story with hopes of getting selected. And I know, because we've spoken with Norm Abram about this, that, there were some very specific things that they were looking for. It had to be a historic home. There had to be a project kind of already in process, right?
Exactly, to fit their time frame.
Yeah.
So we lucked out. The house itself is 1933 Spanish, as you said. It has had original details. Like the cove and tray ceilings, like a walnut inlay in the hardwood floors that makes a decorative pattern. Tile bathroom, tile kitchen, the clay tile roofs. Anyone who's seen the show has seen what the house looked like, and it had a lot of really great details in our
Good bones,
Exactly, yeah, and it was well built too. So our whole thing always had been, before the show, when we did a remodel, we wanted it to make it look like the house had always been that way, the original home, and we managed to do that. And that really came from looking.
Get sports updates at 15 and 45 past the hour on KF.
Whoops, there's a little sports guy. That's okay. I think he's excited.
Excited about sports. But we wanted to really maintain that original character in the home, and that came from when I was looking to buy homes. And anyone who's bought a house has seen this. You walk through lots of homes, and there's remodels that aren't so great. You
Yeah.
walk through a bathroom to get to another bedroom and things like that, and we really didn't want to have that happen. So it was important to us to do right by the house.
And so now your house has this big ego, right? Has a publicist and everything.
Exactly. It's far more popular than we ever intended.
Oh, gosh. Well, I know that the kitchen was probably one of the big challenges before the remodel, right? Because as it was described, you didn't really have a complete kitchen.
No, yeah, it was 1933 when it was built, so there was no room for a refrigerator in that room, since they didn't exist at the time. So it was really narrow. You could almost stand in it and put both hands on either wall. There was the California cooler, which just drew the cold air in from the basement up, and you'd, I guess, keep your bread or vegetables in there, and room for a gas stove, and then the sink, and then a couple cupboards on one wall, and that was pretty much it. And then next to that was kind of the mud room, where there were 2 cast iron sinks when I originally moved in, and that was kind of it. There was no room for appliances, and we took that kind of mud room and took out the cast iron sinks and put in the refrigerator, the dishwasher, the washer and dryer, and a little wine fridge. So we had 5 little appliances crammed into one little room.
Oh my gosh!
So it was a little silly, but it worked for us. With as a couple, it was great.
And now
But yeah, now it's, well, you saw.
It's a great kitchen.
It's much bigger than it was. Yeah, we took those 2 rooms and made them 1 room, and actually borrowed a closet from the smaller bedroom and made that part of the kitchen as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have so many great changes to talk about, like the lavender paint in one of those bathrooms. I thought was very cool. That's a very trendy color. And also we want to talk about how you guys are living on a fault line in Silverlake, but you're not going to worry about it because you're now all retrofitted and earthquake safe.
That's true.
So we're going to find out more about the people who, I guess you could say they won the makeover from this old house. Would you call it a win? I guess it's kind of like won. I mean, they were chosen, and it's a spectacular renovation, and it's a show that you can see. It's still in the makings for many more weeks on PBS, and we're going to talk more with one of the homeowners, Kurt Albrecht, as the Home Wizards continue. I'm Cindy Dole.
I take back those words that have hurt you, and you'd stay.
We all want to turn back time, right? There's that certain part of your home where you go, gosh, it just needs a little something, something. Well, that's what the owners of the winning home in this old house, currently on TV these days. In fact, it's on KOCE, 7 p.m. Thursday nights. Kurt Albrecht and his wife, Mary, thought, on a whim, our house it's cute, it's 1930s, but gosh, we're having things done. Why don't we try out for the whole This Old House thing? The first ever LA renovation, and what do you know? They come knocking on the door, and you're it. And so now you won.
Lucky us, yeah.
And it's been a great experience. You were just saying, we were talking during the break, that there's just great people. They're the real deal.
Exactly. The show's been around for 30 years now, I think.
Yeah.
And it was really great. The whole process, it was like having like a producing partner on my remodel. The way the show helped us. We moved quickly because of their time frame, which was great for us. It made the guys at Homefront stick to a schedule, which was great. The work came out wonderful because it's going to be on TV. And the people, the producers and the cast and all of the experts on This Old House were just great help all the way through. It was really made what I was fearing to be kind of a tough experience.
What everyone hears can happen. Yeah,
exactly, because I hadn't been through this before, and it turned out to be, fun, you know? I mean, there's a lot going on in your life when you're remodeling your home, don't get me wrong, but it was I think as good of an experience as I could ever have had.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So you must have pictures and autographs from people.
Yes,
and...
all the way through. It's like the digital cameras, I think I have hundreds of photos of the house being torn down, then being built back up. It's going to make a great photo book someday
for the kids too.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Well, so what was torn down? Because we hear that the house is on this recently found earthquake fault line there in Silverlake, and the house being so old, I mean, it wasn't really earthquake safe, but now it is. So what had to be done to fix that? Yeah,
the house was remarkably solid, but it was on a 1933 foundation, which there's not a lot to that, but I think it was the second or third episode of This Old House, they showed this, they went to the Simpson company, which makes the tie downs that give the earthquake safety. And it showed just how a house that is built without them falls apart when it's shaken. They actually have a simulator that simulates an earthquake and breaks the house apart. It was a lot of fun to see that. So those tie downs are in the house now, and the foundation is remarkably robust. I think they put five trucks worth of concrete into our foundation, and so when the earthquake
comes, we're all going to your house.
Exactly. Yes, I feel confident the house will be there.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then, so the kitchen's awesome. The earthquake safety is there. And then you also have a new room for the expanded family.
Exactly. Yeah, we had 2 bedrooms and 1 bath before. We now have, I guess it's 4 bedrooms technically, but one of them is really small and will be like an office.
Oh, good.
And then 2.5 bathrooms. So yeah, we have the room now to feel comfortable. It was 1,500 square feet before. We added 750, so it's just over 2,200 now. So it's not a huge house by any means, but the proportions feel wonderful. There's a nice family room that opens up into the kitchen, and we're going to live in that space. The bedrooms are small by today's standards, but you spend more time in the common areas, and it feels really great.
And your deck area looks really cool.
Yeah, we have this patio off the back. That's one thing that Homefront really helped us with. the home originally was very street oriented. And we have in Silverlake, it's odd, but we do have a backyard. It's a flat backyard, so we really wanted to take advantage of that. So we kind of turned the orientation of the house around by putting a family room at the back that the kitchen opened onto, and then a deck off the family room that overlooks the yard. So we really have, access to that yard now, which we didn't have before. So that's another great change.
And while you made some changes, you still kept true to the history and the legacy of the place. And aren't there a lot of light fixtures, the original light fixtures, and things like that you've repurposed?
Exactly. We tried to keep as much of the original home as we could in the remodel. So yeah, all the light fixtures are the same.
They're very nice.
We did augment them with more period light fixtures from Rejuvenation, so they tie in really well. They're reproductions of old styles, and they look fantastic. Yeah, we the tile we got from Mission Tile West, and they build or they like hand paint a line of tile that recreates the tile from the 30s, and it looks great. It really does tie in really well with the rest of the house.
And it's greener too. I mean, your home is more efficient.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, talk about how can you already see on your bills? Is it too
well, we
soon
aren't back in yet.
You're not completely back in.
But yeah, the house had no insulation before. So there was some, that's not true, there was some sprayed in the attic, but in the walls there wasn't any insulation. So now we're fully insulated, and the windows are up to whatever the standard is for the right R factor, and everything about it is much more modern.
So when do you get to go back in, and why aren't you back in? I mean, they're basically done, aren't they?
Well, we had everything was hurried for that wrap party that you went to. So not everything was actually tied down. There was a lot of double stick tape and things were leaning in place, but weren't actually there. So we're doing like the final punch list walkthrough Monday morning, and there'll be another week or two of fixes of those things, and then we're in at the beginning or like second week of March. So
nice.
Very soon. Yeah, we're now that it feels like a house again, we're very excited.
Well, what a tease! I mean, you were there for this party, and it's like, wait a minute, I want to be in my new bedroom, and I want to try out the kitchen,
right.
And
it really turned from a construction site into a house very quickly. As it was, there was still, holes in the walls and paper all over the floors up until a couple weeks ago. So it really came around very quickly at the end.
So when people watch this on TV, and we're going to see you on TV, you and Mary appear.
Yeah,
from time to time.
we're not in many of the episodes. The show is really about
the house,
and the craftsmen that are working on it, which is great.
Right.
So yeah, we're in the early episodes, which have already aired, and then at the end. And everyone else is working on the house, which is those are the guys who deserve all the credit. They really did a great job.
Yeah, they really are terrific people. And what are some of the surprises that you think that that we as viewers will be seeing or should pay attention to? The things that changed and that are now better that we may not notice unless we look harder.
Let's see. A lot of the things were just for me were. Like how do you recreate those period details today?
Yeah,
because the house was originally lath and plaster, and that's hugely labor intensive. So no one, you can recreate that, but we didn't have the funds to do that. So they used a different method of putting sheetrock on the walls, and then actually custom making foam inserts that actually create the cove in the house, the cove and tray ceiling, and then plastering over the top of it. And that was news to me that's how those architectural details were created. It was basically using styrofoam, and then they put plaster over the top of them in a mesh that strengthens the whole thing. But it's just as strong as it needs to be, and looks amazing. And the labor is a quarter of the time. So.
And before you reached out to this old house production team, you were already dealing with the home front contractors, right?
Exactly.
How is the remodel different than maybe what you would have done without being on TV? Do you think is exactly the same as it would have been, or are there some extra? No,
there's some extras for sure. Yeah. This old house didn't pay for anything, but the layout would have been the same. I would say the finishes are better.
I mean, your dream is even better, right?
Yeah, like for instance. Let's see, like countertops. The
soapstone.
Right, exactly. We probably wouldn't have been able to afford that, but this old house approached people and said, "Okay,
Yeah.
we'll feature
Exactly.
your company on
They
the
get
show."
trades, a lot of these
Exactly.
shows. And I
So-
talked with those soapstone people, and they were saying, I said, what about the scratching? And the quote, maybe you already heard this, it scratches beautifully.
Exactly.
And it's true.
And you
I
can
mean,
buff it right out.
It's a beautiful charcoal black. I mean, it's scrumptious.
Yeah, it is.
So they kind of kicked it up a notch for you.
They did. So we got basically discounts,
Good.
from different people that were featured on the show. So whether it was the tile or the soapstone or the wrought iron, which was just
Yeah.
gorgeous,
Stunning. Yeah.
So we would have had some of those things, but probably not all those things, So it was really great for us.
Well, I think that a lot of people need to see the show. It's what you said. There's 5 more episodes,
Exactly.
right? And it airs Thursdays at 7 p.m. on KOCE, the PBS that we have here locally. And I'm sure that they have some more pictures on the website too, right?
Yes, they do.
They
Yep.
have some more because they had a camera going. It had a live cam
Yeah,
showing it as it was put together.
That was really useful for me because I have a full-time job, so I could check in on the progress of the workers every day from work and see how things were going. So it was great.
Good. Well, congratulations. It's fun to see somebody who actually is living this dream, because we watch these different reality shows, and this is more than that. This is the real
This is
deal.
the real deal.
And there's just fine people at this old house, and so I'm so happy that a fine, happy couple were the winning recipients of this great thing. So
Oh, thank
enjoy.
you.
We can't wait to see when you're back fully in.
Yeah.
We'll have to check back again. All right. Thank you, Kurt Albrecht.
Thank you very much.
All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about pure energy. How would you like to get some money back? Maybe this old house isn't going to give it to us, but the state might, and the feds, because there's this new energy upgrade program going on. It starts this week, and we're going to tell you all about it. Cindy Dole, Home Wizards. We continue after this.